2019. Have you guys had a good day? I can't really hear you. Have you guys had a good day? Who wants to talk about Star Wars Rebels? Please welcome to the stage, James Arnold Taylor.
Hello.
And Vanessa Marshall. Come on up, Vanessa. You guys, welcome to Seattle.
Well,
Thank you.
thanks.
Hello,
Thanks.
hello.
Good to
How's
be here.
everybody? Nice. Hi.
Let me tell you something. The Seattle audience is an awesome audience.
Aren't
So,
they though?
Yeah.
You bet.
The
You
force
guys
is
are-
very strong with them. I sense it. Yes.
Let's jump right in because this is billed as the Star Wars Rebels panel, but you guys have such extensive voice careers and you guys have worked together a lot.
Oh, come on.
So, I mean, come on, I can give you a compliment. So I just want to sort of kick it off by a little bit of how you each got into the industry in general, and when did you realize you had this really unique talent for voices?
You want to go first? Ladies first, please.
Okay, sure. Well, I went to Princeton. I majored in English, and I wanted to write. I love stories. I love telling stories. I love reading stories. I love watching them. And I ended up getting into graduate acting school, and I loved doing stand-up comedy and stuff like that, and sketch comedy characters. And when I moved back to Los Angeles, I was in a one-woman show that I had written with a bunch of different characters, and a voiceover agent came to see the show and said, you know, you might want to try voiceover animation. And I went in and I read for her, and I've been at that agency ever since. And it was just a really good fit for me. I love the theater, and I don't pursue on-camera acting, but there's a certain kindness and just a loveliness about people in the world of voiceover that the world of on-camera can be a little rough, if you will. I mean, I don't know, if someone doesn't like my voice, I can live with that a little bit more than like, no, your entire essence is awful, like get out of my office, which you know,
happens.
it's hard not to take that personally.
Well, I mean, there's also, I imagine, something really freeing being a voice actor because
Yeah.
you're not tethered to, you know,
Well,
your
here's the other
looks.
thing. I grew up, my mom was on a show called Knots Landing in Dallas. Her name is Joan Van Ark. And so I watched her. She was on that show for 13 years, every Thursday night. And I would watch people come up to her and say, you know, oh, I love you, this and that. And I would sit there, you know, at the pizzeria as this kid, and then my mom would say, it's paying for your college. Okay, all right. But I saw how she somewhat sacrificed her privacy to a certain extent to be in the public eye, and that's sort of the contract that you sign when you know, step into that world. Whereas in voiceover, I just have Star Wars family, so it's awesome. Like, there's one guy at the Albertsons where I shop, and he had a Boba Fett keychain, and I said, yo, man, where'd you get that? Slave One, what's going on? And ever since then, we're like besties. So those are my fans.
It's kind of like an inside club, you know?
A little
Yeah.
bit, and it just feels safe, and like, you know, we all love each other. Well, I know there are Sith and Jedi, and we have our various views on things, and now it's even more complicated. If you want to get into Qui-Gon, like, we'll keep it simple. But anyway, bottom line, I prefer somewhat the anonymity that you find in the world of voiceover, and then the people at cons are sort of the demographic, and those are my friends anyway. So it's again, a very good fit.
That's awesome. Very well said as well.
Yeah. And she is amazing, isn't she? Amazing?
Oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah.
One of the nicest, most humble people you'll get to work with, and it's been awesome through all the years we've got to work together. I didn't go to Princeton or any fancy thing at all. Since I was 4 years old, I knew I wanted to be a voice actor. So I started studying very hard by watching a lot of cartoons and reading a lot of comic books. And I really just loved it. I saw Mel Blanc and Don Messick and all these guys, and I said, I want to do that. I want to be those guys. And so I started as a stand-up comic as well at 16, and then I got into local radio station. I went in there and said, how do you get into radio? Of course, I was 17, so I went, how do you get into radio? And I started sweeping up. And then I would watch the DJs as they were doing their shows. And I would hang out, and I learned all the production room stuff, and I just loved all of the sound of it. And so within a year, it was like out of a movie. The overnight DJ didn't show up, and they called me, all right, kid, you're on. And I got on the radio, you know, and I did a show, and then the rest is history. I became a DJ, and then did comedy, and did voiceover for a radio network for 3,000 stations, from Howard Stern to Rick Dees and all these people, and I was kind of behind the scenes. So I got used to it. Being a voice actor, you're never really in the forefront unless you come to a Comic-Con. And so from there, my career, some of the first stuff I did was doubling Michael J. Fox. Well, wait a second, Doc. You mean to tell me you built a time machine out of a DeLorean? You know, and then of course
That is so awesome, by the way.
thank you. And then
Like
I got to
that you
double
just-
Doc Brown for the video game. The way I see it, Marty, if you're going to build a time machine into a car, why not do it some style? Well, wait a second, Doc. So I started doubling a lot of celebrities when they were not available to do their own voice. So Captain Jack Sparrow, I would do Johnny Depp. I would do Christopher Walken, you know. It's crazy. If he wasn't able to do his own voice, I come in, I do it. It's great. And so I found, you know, my family. Like you say, you find all these other people. I was just, well, downstairs with Nolan North and Ross Marquand, you know, doing these voices. We're all doing our
Insanity is going on
walking
downstairs.
offs. But so we just all click. And again, you'll never find a more humble and happy to be there group than voice actors. We're all realizing that we have the greatest job in the world, I think, and that's probably it.
So when you're creating a character, it's a little bit of a different process, I would imagine, than when you're doubling as an actor. So let's take first the doubling, because like literally those voices sound spot on. How do you find that? What do you do to prep for like Michael J. Fox or Crispin Glover?
Well, it's, you know, so for me, I've always been, and I've been a voice double. Difference between a voice double and an impersonator. An impersonator will take a voice and kind of over-exaggerate it. Dana Carvey is a great example, and he admits it.
So if he was doing Johnny Carson, he would do this. That is wild, isn't that wild?
But if you're going to do Johnny Carson, his voice is down here. And half the room doesn't know who Johnny Carson is, which is great. But, so I will just picture the person in my head, and then it'll come out. Like Jay Baruchel is Hiccup Haddock. Well, I'm also Hiccup. So most of the time when you're hearing Hiccup, unless it's the movies,
And you hear Jay Baruchel talking, that's not actually him, it's me. So you see, you just picture the person in your head, and then they come out of your mouth. It's just magic.
I really don't know how to explain it other than that.
Well, it's a true talent, obviously.
I got one thing I'm good at, you know?
Embrace it. How about you? What's your process?
Well, I usually listen to their voices over and over again, and then I never think I sound like the person at all, but people are like, oh, that's spot on. I've doubled for Angelina Jolie. The movie Gone in 60 Seconds is mostly my voice. I wish I could be Angelina Jolie just for a day. I mean, her humanitarian efforts alone are staggering, but if I look like Angelina Jolie, oh, yeah, that would just for 5 minutes, yes, you know. Yeah, I've lost 70 pounds, so I think if you've ever, yeah, thanks.
You are gorgeous
yeah.
just the way you are.
Oh,
You don't
bless
need to
you.
look like Angelina
Thanks.
Jolie.
Well, no, the weird thing is that if you've ever been overweight, even when you lose the weight, it's almost like it follows you around, like you never quite feel. I mean, now I view myself as an athlete, not to have TMI here, but I'll just break it down. You know, you never quite feel like Angelina Jolie. I mean, she's just an amazing human being. But anyway, if you watch Gone in 60 Seconds, you're pretty much listening to my voice. And I've done Tilda Swinton and Elizabeth Hurley, Sandra Bullock. I don't have sort of little catchphrases to wow you with their with their voices, but I usually just listen to their voice and then repeat it back. I have a good ear. I was mimicking people growing up all the time. My mom, for example, is she says she can't drink coffee. She's an odd. Okay, look, if she's on a soap opera for 13 years, this is how she enters the kitchen. Oh, God. No, baby, no. Oh, what, Mom? What is it? I can't drink that. It's not piping hot. So, like, my whole life, I was, like, building a case, like, I'm sorry, but if that came down into your kitchen, wouldn't you be like, what is going on in our country? You know? So that then became a tool to be used in terms of, you know, voice matching other humans. There you go.
That is awesome.
Do you know, one time I met your mom, we have the same dentist.
Oh, my God.
And
she
my,
loves her dentist.
my
She
dentist,
talks about him.
Yeah, and he always loves me doing Johnny Carson.
Oh.
So he goes, you know, Johnny Carson's here. This was a long time ago, and Johnny Carson's here. She was so excited, you know, because she knew Johnny and all. And I come in, and she was so deflated. But I did Johnny Carson for her, and she's like, yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah.
Although I guess she went, oh, it's
oh
not
God,
bad.
it's fantastic.
Yeah, you have to give it the, you know, the punch.
No, well, I take her voicemail messages and I make dance mixes out of them. They're pretty spectacular. I did one that's this Afro-Brazilian mix that is just, it's pretty epic. I think I might have to start a blog that's like my mom's
You definitely
messages.
need to share those on like
Do
your
you know what I'm
Twitter or
saying?
Instagram.
Some of them are like, you know, oh God. Because it's just, she's not even reaching for it. It's just who she is. She's just very committed to that genre. It's awesome.
So James, when you became the voice of Obi-Wan, how did you follow, you know, obviously Ewan McGregor and Sir Alec, and there's lots of, you know, recognizable voices. So how did you create your own iteration?
Yeah, so it's been almost 18 years now that I've been the voice of Obi-Wan Kenobi in one way or another.
That is
Crazy.
crazy.
Amazing.
It's the craziest part is I'm a voice actor, and here I've voiced more Obi-Wan and portrayed him in more ways than Ewan or Alec combined. Yet people go, oh, it's the voiceover Obi-Wan. Okay, great. No, but Ewan. So I started doubling him when they were still making the movies, and I had doubled him for some other things before where he has an American accent. So when Ewan McGregor puts on an American accent, he kind of places everything up front, in the front of his mouth, because he's trying to hide his accent, which he's, of course, Scottish. And so I thought, well, if I do the reverse and just put a British accent on and think of Alec Guinness doing, these aren't the droids you're looking for. But think of it in a younger way, these aren't the droids you're looking for. Anakin. All right, well then, so I just thought, oh, I'll do it that way.
That's worth applause.
Yes.
But the thing that, so I was doing it for the micro series of the Clone Wars, which was a fantastic series, the micro series. If you don't know it, check it out. It's great stuff. And then they were making the Revenge of the Sith video game at the same time as the movie. So they came in and they brought this laptop, top secret laptop, and they had all this footage of the film. And I was talking about this yesterday, but they showed me the Mustafar scene, but it was all blue screen. And it was Ewan McGregor standing on a blue screen, and he was going, you know, you are the chosen one. It was said that you would destroy the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness. You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you. And I went, oh, boy, that's awesome. I can't wait to see it when there's lava and everything. And they said, can you do that? And I said, well, I will do my best. And I did. And they said, okay, because there's two layers to his voice. You know, he's got that, you look tired because of your mother. Dreams pass in time. You must be mindful of the Force, Anakin. And then he's got that, come to your senses. What would Padme do if she were in your position? So he's got those layers, which Alec Guinness didn't ever get to.
Right.
You know, he got, run, Luke, run, you know. That was about as big as he, you know, wait, you know. But, so it was finding those layers, and then now it's really humbling when people say, you know, I hear it in your voice now when I read Obi-Wan or something, because what I try to do is I try to pay homage to both of them, and so you know, I started when I was first doing it. It was very much just Ewan, which is a little higher than what I do if you watch Clone Wars, and then I tried to take a little of that. So when you watch the Clone Wars, it's really kind of a combination, and that's what it is. This is Obi-Wan for the Clone Wars. Yeah, so there you go.
That's awesome.
Amazing.
I love that. Vanessa, do you record with the rest of the cast or on Rebels, or are you sort of isolated? Oh, you do?
We
Okay.
were, for the most part, we were always together, unless Tia or Freddie or Taylor, they, you know, they have on-camera careers. I was always available, because I don't do that stuff. Yeah, for the most part, it always was so much better. The only thing is, I never met Thrawn, and I never met Lando. So those were, I don't know how they put them together, because the Thrawn scenes, they scared me to death. And I found it so crazy to think, well, basically they would do a billion different takes. And of course, I guess they knew what he had, you know, given for the scene, but I had no idea what to expect. And then that organ music comes in, and oh my goodness, it was terrifying. It sort of edited together perfectly. But yeah, I wish that they had been around. I think he was doing Dancing with the Stars at the time. Yeah, so Billy D was not available. I came in that day so excited. I got to punch Lando. What? Yeah,
But
and
you've worked with Billy D, have you not?
never.
Never at
no,
all?
I've seen him at Fred Siegel. There's a place in LA called Fred Siegel, but I hyperventilated. I couldn't.
Oh.
I just couldn't.
You should have
I
gone
couldn't.
up to him.
He
Come
is
on.
one of the
No.
nicest people in the
What
world.
am I gonna say? I'm the one with the green brain tails? No.
He would have known. He would have.
No,
Yeah,
I
no,
couldn't-
come on. He
no
would have known.
way.
Billy D is great.
I don't know.
We did this event called Star Wars Weekends every year at Disney World, and I got to host this, and then Star Wars Celebration, which
He was
I hosted.
amazing.
And Billy D and I became very good friends from that.
What?
But he is like just the
This
sweetest
guy.
guy in the world, and he knows his stuff. The other thing that's amazing about him, if you watch Rebels, his voice sounds exactly the same as when he was young. I mean, he has the ability to just control that so well.
So amazing.
And he's an amazing artist as well. Look up
He's
his
kind
art.
of like a quiet talker in real life, so he's like
Yeah.
reserved.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Billy D is just, oh yeah. Vanessa, you are fantastic.
That's what he would say.
He's amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. All right, we're going to take questions. So I know you guys probably have a lot to ask. Get in line at the mics. And while they get
Whoa.
them, yeah, there's spotlights.
Magic.
Fancy. While they're getting lined up, obviously everybody in here geeks out about stuff you guys have been a part of, Star Wars Rebels and different projects. What do you guys geek out about? What do you love? What are you passionate about? It could be literature, music, films.
Oh, pretty much Star Wars. Yeah. People come in my house and they're like, you're a Star Wars fan. Because it's pretty much all over the place. Yeah.
No, yeah, I mean, so I think I'd geek out about all of you is what I really, so I have a podcast and a YouTube channel now that I started really as a way to say thank you. Because you'll never find a more wretched hype. No, you'll never find a greater group of people than Star Wars fans. And I'm not saying that just for cheap applause, although the cheap applause is nice. But
There you go. See?
it's for you, it's for yourselves. So I really love trying to give back, and I think Vanessa is the same way. And it's just, it's wonderful to see that reaction.
To pay it forward. That's awesome. Hi.
Hi.
CJ.
Oh, hey, Vanessa.
How
How
you
you
doing?
Hey, I remember him.
Great.
He came to see me over where I'm signing autographs. Come say hi, you guys.
Yeah, come say hi. After
We're
this, we're going to
family.
be at
Come
our
on down.
table.
You guys
Sorry.
are going back
We're
downstairs
going back.
after this.
They've,
All
they've
right.
extended the time there so you can still see us after.
Yeah,
Go
come
ahead,
say
CJ.
hi. Anyway.
My question is for both of you. What were your favorite episodes of Clone Wars and Rebels, respectively?
Good question.
Wow.
Do you want to
going-
think while
yeah,
I
no,
answer?
you go ahead. Yeah. Oh, there's so many,
Uh,
man.
I loved all the Mandalorian arcs with the Duchess Satine, Anna Graves, who did a
Yeah.
fantastic job.
Yeah.
And then, of course, the ones at the end, near the end there, where Darth Maul came in. And spoiler alert, yes. Yeah, one of my favorite lines to deliver was, "I'm so sorry," when I'm getting choked up. Okay, yeah, when we all know what happens with the Duchess, but and he meets her sister. But those stories were just so powerful. And Sam Witwer as Darth Maul, big jerk.
Yeah.
He's so great. So yeah, those were my favorites.
Well, there's so many stories that I loved in there. The Darth Vader stuff was amazing. But I love the stuff with Saw Gerrera, sort of much later. I think it was season 5, because I at the time was thinking, wow, those are sort of the seedlings of the Rebel Alliance. You know, when they're teaching them about the difference between rebellion and terrorism, and that distinction really stuck with me. Yeah, anything with Asajj Ventress is always going to be my favorite. I just love her so much. I wish that she could have hung out with Hera. And I know, well, I mean, because if she's, I don't know.
smell a spin-off.
Well,
Absolutely, I
Sadly,
think
there's
so.
a novel that kind of put the kibosh on that. But, oh well, as far as the timeline goes. But anywho, yeah, and the Rebels, I'll never forget that moment when Kanan, we've all seen season 4, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert, spoiler alert.
Plug your ears if you haven't.
They
But
should be up to date.
I would hope so. But when Kanan passes and his eyes turn blue, and that moment was pretty special. But there were so many. I mean, the fight between Ahsoka and Darth Vader. I mean, even the one with the Inquisitor. There's always a great battle at the end, right? But there were so many moments. Even the music when the wolves came back and were fighting. I've never heard music like that. It was almost like a marching band. Kevin Kiner just scored, Yeah, he was just an absolute genius. So it's really tough to choose. Yeah, I loved all of them, really.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
When did you guys find out that season 4 was going to be the last for Rebels?
Right in the middle
Yeah.
of doing it. Yeah, I think Freddie had just died, and
That could be an indicator, you know.
yeah. Well, you know, it's weird. I found out after the fact that Freddie was campaigning to die the entire time. I was like, wow, way to want to work with us. That's awesome.
Yeah,
No,
thanks.
and I found out he was trying to get Darth Vader to kill him, and Dave was like, no, that's not happening. But I guess he granted him his wish. Not that he wanted to not be in the show, but he felt that that would be an elegant end for Kanan. And then, you know, as I mentioned Qui-Gon before, there are many options for him as a Jedi moving forward. We don't know. I mean, obviously, passing doesn't necessarily mean that, but I'm not giving you any.
It's not a
information.
spoiler.
Yeah, no. But anyway, yeah, it was in the middle of the 4th season. I remember Tia was so sad. I have been doing this since 1997, so when things end, it's like, it was a good run, you know.
Yeah, you get used to it. Well, though
Yeah,
Clone Wars,
and you're grateful for whatever moments that you had, but Tia was really upset.
Yeah.
Yeah.
when Clone Wars was canceled after Disney
Moment
bought
of silence.
Star Wars, and they went, yeah, we don't need that show. And then you all spoke up, and they went, oh, I guess we need to bring that show back.
Yes, how about that, right?
so
That it's
yeah.
coming back. Yeah.
So yeah, we get a 7th season, which is great. But when it was canceled, we had already recorded season 7 and almost into season 8, and so now it was easy for them to bring it back in that we had recorded so much
Right.
already. But they've also recorded some new things, and so yeah. But that was a big bummer, you know, because it's always, I think the biggest thing is saying goodbye to family, because we are family. I mean, the Rebels cast, they get together, they have dinner. Was it like weekly?
Oh
or
my
what do you
gosh,
guys-
we eat a lot. We do, yeah.
Yeah, and
why not?
The Clone Wars cast, I mean, Matt and I are texting each other all the time. You know, it's Anakin and Obi-Wan. And Catherine Tabor, Padme Amidala is like one of my best friends in the world, and Ashley's like my little sister. It's just, it's a family, so yeah.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi guys, Justin from Lake Stevens.
Hey, how are
Justin.
you?
So, kind of a goofy little scenario for you. Would you mind improvising a little scene where Black Canary wants to learn to become a Jedi from Obi-Wan?
That's
Well, all right. So your name is Canary?
Black Canary.
Yes. Well, I sense a dark side with you then, with that name.
Well, I could scream.
No, it's all right. So you want to learn the ways of the Jedi.
Yeah,
Requires
if you have time.
concentration and also the ability to say this: Anakin
Anakin.
and Anakin.
Anakin.
Anakin!
Anakin.
Well, I think you're there. You're a Jedi. Whatever you do, and there you go.
well done. Thank you. Hi.
Hi, I'm Alan. I'm from Iowa, which is actually relevant.
Okay.
Yes, because on the flight over from there, I was watching Teen Titans go to the movies.
Hey, hey, hey.
And I got to a point where I was like, oh, it's James Arnold Taylor as Shia LaBeouf.
Shia LaBeouf, yeah, I was
Yes.
Shia LaBeouf in that film.
Did you? I was the computer for the
Yes,
ship.
yes.
That's right, too.
Yeah, see, again,
Look at, we've worked together on so many things. We were sitting there.
yeah.
It's kind of
Spectacular
weird.
Spider-Man,
Yeah.
Mary Jane and Harry Osborn, and Guardians of the Galaxy, little cartoon you may know, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Gamora.
Anybody? Gamora and
Yondu.
Yondu and Cosmo, the Russian telepathic cosmonaut dog. But yeah, so yeah, Shia LaBeouf, yeah.
Yeah, so the question is, do you have like a favorite little sort of hidden role that you love to tell people about?
You probably have some good ones like that, do you?
Favorite hidden role? Give me a sec.
Yeah, okay, I'll
That's-
talk then while you.
Yeah.
I can always talk. Favorite, yeah, go ahead.
Well, there was a video game I did when I first started voice acting called Dune, and I had done some sort of, I don't know, wizard character, I'm not really sure, and they were stumped to cast this one, it looked like Jabba the Hutt. And I said, do you mind if I try? And they said, sure, whatever, lady. And I said, what if he talked like this? And they said, you get in front of the microphone right now. No female should make that sound. So, yeah. And I booked that job. I mean, I didn't take it away for anyone because they couldn't find anyone to act like that. I don't know.
That is
But
awesome.
that's an obscure reference.
That is
you
so
go.
awesome, though.
Boy. Well, you know, with the doubling of people, you do stuff and it's not really supposed to be known that it's you. So in the Alice in Wonderland movies, you know, Johnny Depp, he's doing the Mad Hatter. Oh, Alice, I was so happy to see you. And so I did a lot of his stuff, and you wouldn't know it, hopefully. But then Christian Bale, I did his stuff for Batman, the first movie.
And it was all very dark and all of that.
And they went to do the video game, and they played him a trailer from the movie, and I guess half of the voice in it was me, and he didn't catch it. So
That's amazing.
I thought, all right.
Yeah.
cool.
Well, there's one I voice matched for Nicole Kidman, and she had an Australian accent, and I'm really not sure how that panned out for me. But they bought it. I don't know. It was a movie she did with Hugh Jackman a while ago. Good times.
Thank you. Great question. Yeah, thank you. Hi.
Hey, I'm Kevin from Bothell. This question's for Vanessa.
Sure.
On the Talkin' Tunes podcast, you started to tell Rob about your Star Wars room, but he cut you off. Would you mind telling us about your Star Wars room?
Well, we don't have like 5 hours, so yeah, let's just say it's its own vortex of goodness. There are a lot of very old figures off card, sadly, because I played with them like an idiot.
No,
Well,
that's good.
all right, fine. But still, yes, they're in there. And then I have tons of gifts from fans. And I just had a photo op today, and Kanan and Hera came in for a photo op, and he had built a calicori. He had carved it out of wood. I'll post it later. Handed it to me, and it weighs like 900 pounds. He carved it with his hands. I mean, I'm assuming.
Wow.
Perhaps there were tools involved, but I literally wept. And so I have this room with all my action figures that I've collected and different posters and stuff like that. And I will add that to my Star Wars room. It's just, when you walk by that room, it's like magic. It's just so powerful.
How did it go from being a Star Wars small collection on a table to a Star Wars room? What was the transition?
No, it's pretty much been its own wing. Like, yeah, the secret is to find someone who can tolerate that. No, you know what I mean? Like, because some people come in like civilians, you know, and no, and they're just like, oh, what is going on? Chewbacca, very good. You know, it's pretty extensive. Yeah. There are bookshelves and rows. I mean, it's no Rancho Obi-Wan or anything, but it's
a start.
Pretty intense.
Does everybody know Rancho Obi-Wan? Do you guys know what Rancho Obi-Wan
It's
is?
insane. Make the pilgrimage.
It is the world's largest personal collection of Star Wars memorabilia. Steve Sansweet owns it. It's a fantastic place. It's in Petaluma, near Skywalker and such. And it is a great place. And you might hear my voice there. But also, I donated to him my Obi-Wan. So Disney made me a full Obi-Wan Kenobi from season 3 on replica of Obi-Wan's costume. And I wore it at Star Wars weekends. And so I gave it to him. So you can see that costume there, as well as, but it's an amazing place.
I lost my mind. I literally started sobbing. Like, you just... No, you can't even. You need to, like, take your meds. Like,
He has things that nobody else has.
It's intense, guys. Yeah.
It's
That's
great.
awesome. Hi.
Hello, my name is Josiah Townsend. I'm from Seattle, Washington. And my question is for the both of you. My question is, what keeps you motivated? Because you're known as Hera and you're known as Obi-Wan, but what keeps you going higher for your careers? Like, what goals do you set for yourself?
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
Well, you know, it's interesting. As I said, I love stories, and I love telling them.